Hello, my very dear Scorpio. Listen, the first thing that I hear is cymbals clashing, bang, and then I see you on a boat. But it's not really a boat. It's more of a raft that you've cobbled together. And there is a sail that is standing up, and you're on some very, very beautiful water. But you don't seem to really know exactly where you're going. But you have the cymbals and you're walking around on this. It's like a bamboo raft almost that's all been tied together. And it's a secure raft, although you're not sure it is, but it's really well tied together. And you're walking around on this raft and you're clanging the cymbals. And as I watch you do this, it's interesting. Okay, as I watch you do this, what I'm seeing is that it's almost like you're a little kid with a set of cymbals and you're banging them. And it's like you're finally just letting it all out and you're letting the noise be there. And it's like you're willing to make noise. You're willing to, I want to say speak up, but it's not even really speaking. You're willing to be heard. You're willing to let yourself be heard. You're willing to let yourself make a commotion. You're willing to let yourself stand on your raft and state your claim for your raft and whatever that stands for you. And with no apologies, and it doesn't have to, this is the nice thing too, eh? You're not having to make it all perfect. It's not a flute. It's not a harp. It's cymbals. It's just noisy, and there's no finesse to it, and you're not worrying. That's the thing, is you're not worrying about whether or not there's finesse. You're just letting it happen. Now, the other thing that I'm noticing here is that your raft, even though it's on very beautiful water and very calm water, there's not a lot of wind in the sails right now. So there's you walking around clanging your cymbals, but there's not a lot of movement on the raft. There's a little bit of air in the sails, but it's on very, very kind of quiet water. So you've got a juxtaposition here because the water is quiet, but there's a lot of sound. There's a lot of commotion with the cymbals. So as I'm asking my guides what that means, I'm getting a whole bunch of stuff all at once here. And what I'm getting is, give me a second here. There's not a lot of wind. There has not been a lot of wind in your sails. It has not felt like there's been a lot of wind in your sails for a while now. And the movement of the raft has come from you actually being in the water, pulling it along. And it has felt like that for quite a while. Like it's up to you to pull this and make this happen. So you're being you're being held up by the water, but you're also having to move through this water in a way that is a lot of effort and struggle with this. And of course, I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, emotions. Water is emotion, okay? And so if I'm going to take this as a metaphor, then it's you having had this raft that was cobbled together in your childhood, and you're pulling it along. You've had to pull it along, but now you're not pulling it along anymore. And you're not even worrying about whether or not there's enough air in the sails. Well, okay, yes, you are a little bit, but more than that, it's you've put down the cymbals. You don't need to make a lot of noise anymore, and you don't need to drag your raft through the water. What you've got now is you've really literally got the time to just rest on the water. You don't have to make noise. You can if you need to, but you don't have to. And you don't have to try to, you don't have to try to be seen. You don't have to try to be heard. You can, but you don't have to anymore. And it feels to me as I'm looking at this image like it's quite layered actually, because what I'm really seeing with this now is that, and I heard the words divine wind. There is a divine wind coming into your sail. And that you don't have to worry about where this is going. You don't have to worry about how you're going to navigate this. It's not going to go too far out. It's going to stay along the coast. It's going to stay close enough to the earth and to structure that you have built around you that is good for you, that you're going to allow the wind to take you. You're going to allow the sacred winds to take you and guide you where you need to go. You've always got your cymbals. Your cymbals are there. They're still on the raft. And if you need to make a noise, you can, because now you're able to. And what you've realized is, even though in many ways the raft that was created, which I will say would be the structure around how, the mental structure around how you coped with emotion. That's what this is. This is what I'm getting now, is the raft represents the structure that you built for yourself in terms of how to navigate emotion. You're getting a chance really now to understand that even though sometimes it has been burdensome and you've had to really kind of pull it and manage it through the waters of emotion, that in fact it's actually very solid and you have grown something very, very powerful by going through that. You have understood what that is now. You have understood what the structure is. You understood how you've managed it, and you'll continue to, because it is an ongoing process. But what you've got here is you've got the suggestion to stay in present time as much as possible, to stay in touch with your senses, to understand where you have fought sometimes with yourself in order to honor values that perhaps were not really fully yours. So for an example, that would be really, really very possible for a Scorpio. It would be having been raised to think, for example, that dedication to the family comes first no matter what, even if it's at your own expense, even if it's at the expense of your own health, your own well-being, and contrary to what you would actually really like to do in your life. There can be that. There can be the dedication and the loyalty to service or to making money, because that's what was considered sacred or important or valuable, but it isn't necessarily what you want. So there are things like that you're going to be able to come across and understand and see that those things that were considered virtuous, that you were trained to believe were virtuous and valuable, may not be. And that's part of what you're going to help to understand. But the point is, you've got the grace card. You've got the grace card. You've got stay in your senses. You've got trust and start really, really understanding. And I feel almost as though when I see you clanging those cymbals, it's almost like you announcing, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is who I am now. And that, again, it's not something you have to continuously do. I feel like this is something you've been able to do, or you will be doing, because of course it's not going to be for every Scorpio, right? It's for a collective. But I feel like some of you have done this already. It's like, boom. But as you do that, once you've done that, it's easier for you to do it again and again and again. Your raft, the structure, the mental structure, the emotional structure that you created for yourself to be able to cope with emotion has served you well. And it will continue to serve you well, but it's going to serve you in a different way, because now you're letting it be guided by the divine winds, as opposed to feeling as though your personality has to pull it along and struggle through all of the emotion, okay? The time of feeling like you're under attack, it's time to let that go. That's an old energy, and it's an old story. And it's easy to say, just let it go. But the reality is that very often we have come in with that energy where we have felt so judged that it may not even have been an attack, although it could have been, but so judged that we are living constantly with the fear of attack. And in that way, we start living from a very defended energy. And that defended energy is the kind of thing that pulls in more attack. So you're definitely being asked, don't go there. Look at grace. Grace is a smooth, easy, peaceful, and supportive quality. It flows naturally into us and through us. It's an experience of letting the benevolent universe take us through our movements and guide us with a loving hand. Letting the benevolent universe take us through our movements and guide us with a loving hand. That is your divine wind. That is the breath of spirit moving your structure now, guiding you, okay? You've built a very strong structure. Now it's time to let spirit help you negotiate all of the emotions that this structure you've created as part of your protection and as part of your ability to function in the world, usually fairly well, with a high degree of authority, often, that now the difficulty has created this very strong structure. And now it's time to continue doing what you've been doing recently, which is lean into grace, lean into spirit, stay into present time. Don't worry about how quickly it's moving, and know that you don't have to get off and pull the darn raft. Okay? You've got a sail. The divine winds are going to guide you, and you can drop the weight, drop the heaviness of any old emotion, any old situation. Just notice what's weighing you down, and then see, once you've noticed what's dragging you down and what you contract around, can you drop it? Can you let it go? And if you can't, is there something you can do that's going to allow you to let it go? Okay? But really, Scorpio, this is quite beautiful. As I just look at that image, I feel as though this is where there is the maturation, where you get to bring everything good that you've grown from whatever was difficult and really allow this to be something that continues to support you in a way, but now where your personality doesn't have to manage it, where you can really lean into spirit, divine grace, and within that, of course, your higher conscious mind and your soul. Okay, so this is beautiful, beautiful, Scorpio. And again, it's a beautiful water. It's a beautiful colored water. It's not scarily out from the shore. It's close enough that you could just get out and walk if you needed to. And the water is gently moving, very gently moving. And it's crystal clear. You can see right to the bottom, okay? Because the bottom's not that far. Like you could probably, if you're taller than me, you could probably jump in and just wade, okay? Take care, my very, very dear Scorpios. Enjoy the trip. Take care.